Hey guys, what's up? Happy Monday. This is my interview with my lovely friend Sierra. I'm so excited to share this interview with you guys, and I hope you learn a lot from it. Be sure to leave any questions or anything you'd like, positive things only, below. So yeah, be sure to leave comments, like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and let's get into the interview. Also, be sure to follow me and Sierra on social media. All her social medias will be at the end and in the description, as well as my usernames and everything for social media. So go check those out. And let's get into the interview.
It was a public school. Well, I was homeschooled and public schooled. It was kind of both, but it was fun.
Awesome.
I would have said I was, but the beginning of freshman year, I was still trying to catch my own faith. I just kind of shook it off. I didn't really let it bother me. Too much, at least. I did come home a few times. And I was like, Mom, am I really a nun? Because I know we're not Catholic, but still, like, so it was fun though. But I just kind of shook it off, and I knew that God thought differently, so that's all that mattered. Probably the outside influence that it had on me, because I never cussed, and I don't say bad words, but it's hard sometimes when you're around that a lot, because then when like something happens or you stub your toe or something, and you just like it can come out, and you're like, where did that come from? I just tried to stay really grounded in God's Word. Morning devotions with God was awesome, and just anytime I had like available time to listen to music, I was always listening to worship music, just so I could just always have that around me and in my head, so it wasn't such an influence, and also so I could drown out the bad words that were being said around me. But just to be an example.
Awesome.
A good example, yeah. There was a time actually when I felt like I was supposed to share God with someone, or I was supposed to just bring him up in a casual conversation, but fear held me back. And so from that day on, I just kind of told myself, it was funny, I was talking about this the other day with my mentor, that I would rather, from here on out, I would rather just be embarrassed for sharing God than regretful, because being embarrassed is only in the moment for a brief second, but regret lasts the rest of your life. And so, yeah, I'd rather be embarrassed than regretful. It was different. It was actually, I wasn't as questioned all the time, like, what do you believe? Do you believe this? Like, and it was a lot around the time, like, homosexuality was like a big thing, and it had just become legal for same-sex marriage and stuff, and so everybody was always telling me, like, asking me questions about the Bible and all this stuff, because they're just searching. They just want to know what's the truth. And so my answer every single time, and still to this day, will always be like, I believe the Bible. If it's in the Bible, I believe it. And so that was always my answer for everything. But it wasn't ever like, I never offended anybody with what I said, and I always said it in a loving way, and a very a sweet way, just like, I know you believe something else, but I believe this, and if that's the way you want to believe, then that is the way you want to believe, and there's nothing I can do to change that. Yeah. But I will be who I am. And so they were. It wasn't like they were like, oh, she's a Christian, she's weird. But it wasn't. Sometimes they would mask themselves a lot when I was around. Like, they wouldn't say OMG a lot, and they wouldn't cuss a lot, because they knew I didn't like that stuff. And I thought that was always funny, because they felt like they needed to put their little mask on when they were around me. But I was never super bullied for my faith, which I'm actually very thankful for. It did a little bit, because a lot of times I could be going through something at home, or know that my friend was going through something, and I couldn't share with them how I felt, because they wouldn't really understand how I felt from a biblical standpoint. And so I think it was hard sometimes, but that just made me want to go to church even more and make those friends at church, so that I would have those people close to my heart who I could share that stuff with. And it was kind of funny. Church was like my fellowship area, and then school was like my ministry. And so it was like, it was kind of like a balance.
Awesome.
I think I've never been ashamed of my faith, but maybe in a way I believed in my faith. When I was younger, I was raised in church. My dad was a pastor, and so I've been in church my entire life, but I haven't always been a Christian. And so growing up, I always thought that all my friends had to be a Christian, and I had to go to church, and I had to do all this stuff. And so I think I've been ashamed of maybe some of the things that I believed I had to do to be saved. But I've never once in my life have I been ashamed of giving my heart to God. Never once. Yes. Yes, a lot. And what's sad is sometimes I think we can all still struggle with that, because it's hard when I don't know, you're trying so hard to be good, but you're not really given a chance to be good. And so you're just like, I'm trying, and it's just not working. And so there's been times when I'm just like, no one can see it. It's there, but no one can see it. Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. Okay. Probably. This just came to my mind. I had gone on a missions trip with Lifelight, and I came back, and it was before I worked at Lifelight, and I came back, and I was studying for an anatomy test that I had missed in anatomy, and I was in the library, and my teacher really wanted me to take the test that day because it was coming close to the end of the quarter, and she wanted to have all the grades done and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'll just go study, and then I can take it, because I take tests fine. I'm not like, I don't freak out, and I can just learn it and then take it, and then it's done. And so I was like, I'll just do that over lunch. So I was in the library for A lunch, because we have A, B, and C lunch. I was in over A lunch, and I looked over, and there was a girl sitting at a table far away from me who, her name was Allison K. Voss, and she was sitting away from me, and I could kind of tell she might have been having a rough day. She's just being really quiet, and I was like, I just feel like I'm supposed to go talk to her. And not even about Jesus, just like, she looks lonely. She didn't, what's funny though is she didn't really even look lonely. She just like was by herself, and I was by myself, and I was like, why don't we talk to each other? We're like both in here together. We're by ourselves. I can just walk over and talk with her. So I decided to go sit with her. And we started talking, and we were talking about all these different things. And she hung out with a different crowd. She's more of an emo kind of person. And so I wasn't really, I was very peppy and hung out with cheerleaders and stuff. And like, but I've always been the kind that can just like run with any crowd, I guess. And so sometimes I would hang out with her in class, and sometimes I would see her. Sorry, my thing went away. I'm so sorry about that. No. So I saw, we were talking, and I was making her laugh. She was making me laugh, and we were going back and forth. And she was drawing this portrait of herself for art class, and so I was complimenting her on that, how cool it looked, and then I just felt like I was supposed to bring God up and just ask her what the coolest thing that's ever happened in her life was. And that was one of the training things that I learned from my missions trip. Like, if you want to ask someone about Jesus, just ask them, what's the coolest thing that's ever happened in your life? And then when they answer, they'll most likely ask you, and then you can say, well, when I accepted Jesus into my heart, and then you can go into it, and it's just really easy. So I did that, and it worked. And she was like, oh, that's so cool. And so I was like all proud of myself. I'm like, I did it. Oh yeah. And then she was like, she was asking me all these things because she believed some things about the Bible, but then other things she wasn't really sure about, and some things she was going through and she was struggling with. So I like wrote them down, and I'm like, I'm gonna be praying for you. I got her number. And then that was it. I didn't see her anymore after that, because it was the end of the quarter, and I got a different class, and we never really connected from phone phones, with phones and all, and she was a grade younger than me, and so I saw her maybe once after that, and I gave her a big hug, and I was like, girl, I've been praying for you. She's like, thanks, I got plugged in at my church. She started going to a new church. I connected her with a church in that conversation with her, and it was just really cool. And so then, fast forward about a year and a half, I'm on Facebook, I'm on staff at Lifelight, not in high school anymore, and I see that a girl was killed in my old high school, near my old high school, in a car accident, and it was her. And I was like, oh my word, and I was like, all these thoughts going through my mind, like, oh my gosh, and so I got on the phone, and I talked to the youth pastor at the church that she told me she attended, and he goes, yeah, she's been attending our church. Actually, she started attending in February of 2015, and blah, blah, blah. And so in February of 2015, that's when I had that conversation with her. And so had I not had that conversation with her, she wouldn't have gone to church and learned about God and accepted him. And so that is one of my most proudest moments of my life, because it's sad that she's gone, yes, but now I can tell that story to people like you and just motivate them and stuff. So that I'm really proud of that. If they're passionate about it and you're passionate about it, that just helps a lot, especially if the common denominator is Jesus. If you're both on fire for Jesus, then be best friends, because then you can conquer the world together, and it works.
Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Did I already ask you how did you stay true to who you are?
I don't think so.
Okay.
How did I stay true to who I am? How did I or do I? I used to be so insecure and always think about what other people thought of me, and I wonder if I laugh a certain way, they're gonna think that's weird, or if I wear this certain shirt, they're gonna think this, and all this stuff, and I'm just like, what does it even matter? God's opinion is the only opinion I should be worried about at the end of the day. So I'm like, I'm going to do everything for his glory. So just staying true to myself. Since God made me, I should look the most like him. And so staying true to myself is just trying to be Christ-like in every aspect of my life, whether I'm doing college work, or I'm doing raking the leaves in my front yard, or whatever, doing it to God, for God, because I think that's how I can stay true to myself. Don't be afraid and take chances. Not the dumb chances, but any chance you have to just show how awesome of a person you are, do it. Because I think there's such a precedent set for people, especially as teenagers, Christians are weird, but they're not. Christians should be the coolest people ever. And so I think that any chance that you have to show how awesome you are and how much you love Jesus, then go for it. It's better to be embarrassed than regretful. There we go. I'll say it again. There's so, just find something you connect with. That's, if they're passionate about it and you're passionate about it, that just helps a lot. Especially if the common denominator is Jesus. If you're both on fire for Jesus, then be best friends. Because then you can conquer the world together, and it works.